putting our differences to the side and talking about something we all love.
In our old man river, lavish lakes and streams, pines full of the wildest life and possibility. I said one Mississippi, there's a magnolia tree.
It's SuperTalk Outdoors with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi.
From the Foundation Studio on Biloxi's Back Bay, welcome to SuperTalk Outdoors, where we celebrate every single Monday at lunchtime the world-class outdoors of the state of Mississippi, because we are the capital of the outdoors in America. I want to thank you for joining us on the powerful SuperTalk Mississippi Radio Network, or on SuperTalk TV at C-Spire TV. But if you're listening on Facebook or YouTube or your favorite podcast, it's August the 29th, 2022. It's the Hurricane Katrina anniversary, 17 years. Wow. It's hard to imagine it's been 17 years. More about that in just a second. The CB base here in Gulfport, which is formerly called the Naval Construction Battalion Center, plays a very significant role in military conflicts and humanitarian efforts all over the world. I was honored over the weekend to have the opportunity to take a CB. His name is Logan Hamlin, fishing offshore. We had a great trip. He's from Kentucky and is stationed at the CB base, and he just returned from deployment overseas. We had a really good day. We just went off of Horn and Ship Islands and fished behind some of the shrimp boats. We posted some of the pictures, and it's really fascinating video at the SuperTalk Outdoors Facebook page. What the video is Logan fighting a shark, and we were literally surrounded by bottlenose dolphin while he was fighting that shark. It's a great video. It's already been viewed hundreds of times. If you want to take a look at it, go to the SuperTalk Outdoors Facebook page. We're really, really lucky to have a strong military presence in Mississippi. Their commitment to the community is truly unparalleled. What the CB base did, what the CBs in particular did to help us recover after Hurricane Katrina is really unbelievable. As I said, it's the 17th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. I was president and publisher of the Sun-Herald when Katrina hit South Mississippi. My family and I stayed at our house on Biloxi's Back Bay, the house next door to where we live now. The house where we actually live now in this location was destroyed by Hurricane Katrina. We had 5 to 10 foot waves hitting our house. It battered our house for hours. You know, we all know by now Katrina was a killer. To emerge from that experience, rebuilding our lives, in my case, the newspaper and our community, it has a way of teaching you a lot of lessons about life. I actually wrote a book about it. I didn't ever publish it. I may publish it at some point, but I want to share one of the lessons from that book with you now. And the name of the lesson is Smell the Roses, Count the Blessings. Count your blessings. 2 days after Hurricane Katrina, I walked outside, the sun rising on a hot, humid September morning. I was exhausted. It had been 4 days of virtually no sleep. The fear, the experience of the storm, the devastation, the loss, and all the other emotions filled me with such a sense of how in the heck will we ever get through this confusion. I climbed on top of a pile of debris leaning against my house, full of trees, broken boats, and piers. I sat there, my mind trying to take it all in. Where would we ever get the energy to get out of this mess? I buried my face in my hands, and I cried like a baby. I slowly looked up. There was a squirrel on the ground. It looked up at me, seemingly confused, and then made its way to the base of a fallen tree. How did this furry animal make it? I thought to myself, what a miracle. And then I noticed the fur and hide on his back were gone, nothing but raw, bloody, exposed muscle. It immediately occurred to me, it hadn't made it at all. The squirrel would surely die. That poor dying squirrel had sent me a message. It was then that I realized something really important. Count my blessings. My family was safe and I was safe. We would get through this together. And here is the Katrina lesson that rolled out of that. Smell the roses. Take time each day to give thanks to who you are, and what you have, especially those people closest to you, no matter what. When most everything is challenging you, there's always a rose to smell. Smell the darn thing. Keep things in perspective and be thankful. In our fast-paced lives, we often take too much for granted. Hurricane Katrina was the ultimate reminder not to do that. With no communication, no power, and too many around us losing all worldly possessions and too many their lives, we received a great reminder of what in life is important and a real reminder to always remember to thank God for the blessings that we have. And I went on to often think about this. And I called it the $1 million question that everyone should contemplate. Why does it take a disaster to cause this sort of reflection for too many people? Yeah, that's an important question, and maybe one day I'll write my book. It's full of a lot of lessons like that. Recently the state of Mississippi has been challenged by some extreme rain. Just as we speak, floods are happening in Mississippi. And think of the people that are being challenged by that. Too many farmers were in the process of harvesting their crops when the rains came, and now too many soybeans are rotting, and so many others are challenged. So I pray that those affected by these extreme events are still able to find in themselves the ability to count their blessings. Now I'm pleased to introduce my guest today, Bill Kincaid. He's served in the House of Representatives since he was elected in 2012. He's currently the chairman of the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks Committee. He's also on the House Ways and Means, Energy, Agriculture, and Forestry committees. And also my friend Billy Mounger. We go a long way back, the current chairman of the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks Commission. Welcome to SuperTalk Outdoors, guys. How are y'all doing?
Good morning, Ricky. How are you?
Good morning, Ricky. Great to see you.
It's good to see you too. Hey, Bill, for the Facebook audience, move over to your left just a tad if you don't mind. So, Bill, as you heard me talk about the floods in Mississippi and my Katrina experience particularly, our thoughts and prayers are to all those people in Mississippi that are being challenged right now. Any thoughts on that?
We started this project many years ago. We know the history of the Mississippi River and how uncontrollable it is. It has continually broken my heart year after year what we've done, 80% of the work, and refused to finish it. It has displaced human life, cost economic millions of dollars, displaced wildlife, and yet we don't seem to be on the same political page for whatever reason, and ignore our human life and our environmental life. And so I really support our federal efforts to get here and let's get this job finished.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Hey, you can't help but think about what's happening in the lower Delta, and particularly if I think about the Pearl River today and what people are going through, our thoughts and prayers are definitely with you for sure. Hey, so Bill, while I'm with you, man, what's the outdoors mean to you?
Well, I'll tell you what, I was through Jackson this weekend, and I was experienced that 15 inches of rain in 3 days. I was there. I experienced it. So I would, when you live with Tennessee state line in your backyard and you have an opportunity to go to Pascagoula and back all during that 15-inch rain, you've really experienced Mississippi for what it really is. But I can tell you that, I've had family in this state all my life. I've been here since I was 5 years old. Our families are a myriad of what this state represents. I mean, it's the good and the bad. I've had some challenges here. I can luckily tell you that I met my bride here 44 years ago. And it's been the love of my life, and all good things have happened. I raised my children here, my grandchildren, and have taught myself to be an avid sportsman and gardener, and subsequently have taught them to be. I'm very proud of that. And to be the chairman of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. And you said it a moment ago about Mississippi being the center of conservation in the state. It's ironic that Marshall County is the center for wildlife legislation in the state.
Yeah,
and so I'm proud to be part of that.
It really is exciting. Hey, Billy Mounger, what's the outdoors mean to you, my friend?
Well, Ricky, I have a love for it like you do. Going back, when I was a kid, my father didn't really hunt or do much outdoors, but he did like to fish. So we did come down the coast a lot, and we spent our vacations in Biloxi. never went to Destin or anywhere, so it was always Mississippi coast. And so we have friends that had boats, and I actually that was some of my first outdoor experiences. So the Back Bay, Biloxi, and just what you were talking about, and then just I guess when I was a kid, although my father didn't hunt or anything, I had the outdoor DNA, so I'd go out in the backyard and do stuff. And then I got to know the woods around. Ironically, I used to play in the woods where the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks headquarters is now.
Hey, Billy, let's pick it up right there. We're coming to the end of this segment, but when we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Bill Kincaid and Billy Mounger, and we're going to talk about a number of issues. But really, we're going to spend a little bit more time talking about our love of the outdoors. We'll see you after this break.
Sweet soul for him.
Leading the conversation on Mississippi's outdoors. It's Super Talk Outdoors with Ricky Matthews on Super Talk Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Welcome back to Super Talk Outdoors. I have Bill Kincaid with us today. He's the chairman of the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks Committee in the House of Representatives for Mississippi, and then Billy Mounger, who's the chairman of the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks Commission. When we went to break, Billy was sharing his where he got his love of the outdoors from, and he mentioned he actually used to play in the woods where the headquarters for the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks are now. That's pretty ironic, isn't it, Billy?
It is ironic, and actually, just Bill Coster is actually the chairman of the commission now. It rotates like every 5 years, and I just, as a July 1st, I did get reappointed as commissioner by Tate Reeves. My first 5 year term would have been up, and so I'm on it for another 5 years now. But yeah, Bill's actually the chairman. But anyway, so so I guess serving with this department, I hope is something to give back to the outdoors, because I said I used to play in those woods right where the headquarters is now, and then also had an uncle that would take me over to the Mississippi River by Kings Point Island, and first deer hunting over there. There weren't any really deer that I knew of anywhere else around our part of the world, and so that was experience of going to kind of a camp. And a lot of really great outdoorsmen were part of that camp that were men who I really respected, who later came to be involved in the outdoors and taught me a lot. And so, and then I know you and I have talked about waterfowl in the past. I have a great passion for that. I didn't really do that growing up, didn't have the opportunity, but started doing that years ago, and then and really appreciated what resources we have in Mississippi for waterfowl, and have really tried to do a lot to enhance that. As far as things in Mississippi, like creating better opportunities for the public to hunt, and that was way before I was on the commission. And then I got involved with the foundation, of course, that's part of this radio show, and that's been such a great thing to do. And then I was on the board of Delta Waterfowl, and have been just love the outdoors, every part of it. I'm a turkey hunter, a deer hunter, duck hunter. Love fishing and gator hunt too. So,
I tell you,
Ricky, working with this group of commissioners is like your hunting buddies. It's like working with your hunting buddies, because they're all very engaged and a lot of fun.
Well, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's a small world. The outdoor, the people who are passionate about the outdoors, it's really a brotherhood, isn't it? Isn't it, Bill?
Right.
It really is. Hey, Billy, you mentioned Kings Point. I've had the opportunity to spend some time there the last couple of years with our friend Chris Gurris and Bo Mandel. And, boy, that's a special place, isn't it?
It is. Their place is kind of right on the river. And I remember going across there as a kid, and across that Yazoo ferry and having to go across. And you weren't that far from Vicksburg, but you felt like you were in the middle of nowhere. Of course, you had the barges and things coming up along the river, but those bottomlands along the Mississippi River are so special. It's just its own ecosystem, and of course you have to endure floods, but how the wildlife, how it recovers and how it thrives, and it's amazing. So that is a very special place, and I know Chris's place is.
So Bill, when you take in places like the various amazing hunting in the bottomlands that are along the Mississippi River, or come to the Mississippi Gulf Coast and able to do some great backwater fishing or offshore fishing, some of the best offshore fishing in the world out of coastal Mississippi, or to go up in your part of the state, extreme northern Mississippi, and see what happens up there. I had the opportunity to shoot my first turkey up in Walnut, but for anyone who's actually absorbed what Mississippi has to offer, you can understand why I call this the capital of the outdoors in America. But it's special, isn't it, my friend?
I'm going to go back to what you originally said, and it's count your blessings. Yeah. Because the state has so much to offer. My farm is in Walnut, and we have great turkey and deer, and obviously we're battling CWD, and we're doing our very best to mitigate its impact in the state. But when I get an opportunity to, for instance, this weekend, to go sweat and go find those doves and just see how bad a shot I am, I look forward to it. And then bird hunting in central Mississippi, offshore fishing, you're right. This is the place to be. I would want to be nowhere else.
And Bill, you're the chairman of the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Park Commission. Committee of the House of Representatives. As you experience all that you're able to learn about this state, I bet even as long as you've been around, as long as you've been in the legislature, as long as you've loved the outdoors, I bet you just keep learning more and more that this state has so much more to offer.
It's amazing. In my prior committee member of chairmanships, there was a lot to read, that it was a pain to read. It was like postgraduate degree. This is entertaining. This is what I enjoyed doing. So it's a pleasure. Because my circle of influence is all based on outdoors. And it's not just the harvest, it's conservation, it's gardening, it's what grows, it's what's green, it's fisheries and how to improve and to make the quality of our life better. And it's through conservation. So that's what really drives me these days.
Yeah, I see that clearly. It's about leaving a legacy for sure. Hey, listen, you're in the branding business. Tell me more about the work that you do.
On brand, on everything.
Yeah. Tell us about your business.
Okay. Well, for the last 40 years, we've been embroidery and screen print, Champion Promotions, and it's been really, really good to my family and I. And I've read it 40 years now. And so it has actually allowed me to elevate into the legislature, and my family's still very involved. And we still do a lot of business, a lot of corporate fulfillment, and I look to continue doing that. So, election season, I'm your guy. Give me a call.
So Bill Kincaid, you're sitting somewhere special right now. One of the cool things about being able to do this show the way that we're doing it using Skype is you actually get to see our guests in their place, from where they enjoy life. Tell me about where you're sitting right now.
Well, this is about a 700 square foot man cave, a little personal room of mine, but it's my office. It's where I work. I'm working from home these days. So seldom am I actually at home. I just don't go to the office in Memphis anymore. And so it's in my trophy room. I have several animals, elk, whitetail, duck. I have a nice surrounded back porch, elevated over about a 4-acre manicured backyard and a pond. And so it's a very serene area to work.
Yeah, it sounds, it's interesting. Everyone has that place they sit and look out over God's creation, and we thank God. Mine is looking out over.
God allowed me to have this 63 years into it.
Wow, that's awesome. For even in spite of Katrina's scars, I still look out over Back Bay every single morning. And thank God that we have what we have, and I do count my blessings. Billy, where are you sitting right now?
Well, I'm sitting in an office. It's in Jackson. And I do have a sort of a place kind of like Bill's got at home that I work. I do have a few turkeys in here, which I don't, I can turn the camera around. You can see them in my office here, and some ducks on the walls here at our office. In fact, you walk in my office, people say, "What is this? Some kind of turkey place or deer place?"
So Billy, what do you do? What do you do for a living when you're not hunting?
So I'm involved in the technology businesses. Really been involved in mostly the wireless communications business through my career since the mid '80s. We built wireless phone systems, operated them. We built all of Mississippi at one point in time or another. Other states, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, we had a lot of Louisiana, Arkansas, a bunch of other states. Even this stuff as far as Alaska and Washington State, Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands. So had a number of businesses, and right now we not already operating wireless businesses. We have investments in wireless spectrum that we lease to other companies or work with them. We may end up building some of those, and then we have other technology investments too. So it's good. It doesn't take all my time, so I've been able to spend a lot of time working outdoors. Have a lot of land investments. I've been involved with Chris Gurris and others in some things, and so it's been great being able to be a steward of land and of creation, and so blessed to own property as well and help develop it.
So we're visiting with Billy Mounger, who's on the Commission for Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks, and had a long history of volunteering and helping to build a better state, understanding that conservation is really the key to leaving a legacy to our kids. And Bill Kincaid, who's the chairman of the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks Committee in the House of Representatives from Mississippi. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation. Among other things, we'll talk about the upcoming velvet season, the Outdoor Stewardship Trust Fund, and whatever else might come up in our conversation. We'll see you after this break.
Mississippi.
Welcome back to Super Talk Outdoors from the Foundation Studio right here on Biloxi's Back Bay. The Foundation for Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks, not to be confused with the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. That's why we shortened the name for this show to say the Foundation. They raise money to fill gaps for the department, and they're involved in some other conservation efforts as well. More recently, they have been sort of a force to be reckoned with in building coalitions on things like supporting the Outdoor Stewardship Trust Fund that we're going to be talking about here in just a second. But I've got Bill Kincaid, who's the chairman of the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks Committee for the House of Representatives, and also I've got Billy Mounger, who actually is on the Commission for Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. And I really appreciate you guys spending some time with me today. Bill, coming over to you, one of the things that's awesome about doing this show, and I knew it was going to be special, but I don't think I realized how much I was going to be touched by it, is the opportunity I have to talk to so many people in this state who love the outdoors, especially people who work for the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. I mean, every single person who is on this show, not only are they well educated and have a tremendous amount of passion for what they do, but they love what they do, and they're doing such a great job. We are lucky that we have so many dedicated professionals inside that department, aren't we?
I'm going to say, I would venture to say that everybody in the state is mildly interested in outdoors listens to this program on Monday afternoon. This is what this program does, Monday morning. Your program, Ricky, is really serving a lot of people. I mean, it fills a lot of blanks for us. We talk about turkey, or we talk about different opportunities in the state, and I've become an avid listener myself. So, yeah, I get a lot of education from it. The mere fact that I was asked to participate today was a blessing, and I'm so proud to be on here with Mr. Mounger. But yeah, it is a bank of information for all of us.
Yeah,
and a program just dedicated to the outdoors is timely and needed.
Well, we get the opportunity to take people who work in the department and people who are doing extraordinarily amazing things, whether it's in the hunting or fishing community or whether it's in the conservation community, and we can put a voice to them and show people what it takes. I often talk about on my show on the coast called Coast View, I often talk about the 1,000 points of light. It does take 1,000 points of light to make to make a conservation effort in this state work. And man, we're just so lucky we have so many dedicated people, and I'm fortunate to have the opportunity to introduce so many of them to our audience. Billy, same thing to you, man. We are lucky to have a lot of dedicated professionals in this state, aren't we?
You're right. The staff at the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks is really incredible. I mean, we don't really support them enough, or really people don't understand what all they do. I mean, we have people that their passion for the outdoors and for conservation and is unbelievable, and they don't get paid enough. I'll say that. I mean, we for what they do.
Working on it. Yeah.
Well, a bit, Bill and the legislature has done some nice raises for the staff and law enforcement, but really, they're so talented. I mean, we have folks in fisheries, they're just dedicated to it. We've got people that I know. William McKinley's been here talking about deer, and you've had Russ Wallace with the biologist, and our Adam Butler, our turkey biologist, and it's unbelievable. And that, good thing they're outdoorsmen too. A lot of them are pretty much hunters. They appreciate the fact that it's hunters that create conservation opportunities, and they're supportive of them. So it's not like some of the federal wildlife agencies, some others. Sometimes you have biologists that don't appreciate the fact that hunters really are some of the best stewards of the environment. And this agency is they're, the dedicated staff there is unbelievable, and they work hard too. I mean, so we need to do a better job of letting people know what they do. And law enforcement, I mean, they're ambassadors. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I know there are always exceptions, but for the most part, everybody I've dealt with and seen, they really are trying to be helpful. Talking about Katrina, I came down there after Katrina, did some relief work, and saw the devastation. Well, they were down there during the storm. They were in there right after doing recovery work, and they're doing rescues every week, and they're helping other law enforcement agencies, and people don't realize all they do. I mean, so it's incredible.
It really is. Hey, Bill, so let's shift gears now. First of all, I want to thank you, Bill Kincaid, for the leadership you provided in the House as we took about 2 years to get it done. And you know what? You look back 2 years to get the Outdoor Stewardship Trust Fund done. It's not unreasonable, because there's a lot of aligning that had to be done. You got two House, you have the House and the Senate that had to get on the same page, had to get leadership on the same page. Truth is, while all these other bills are happening, so a flurry of, like last year, I would say one of the most successful legislative sessions that we can remember. But the fact that bill emanated a couple of years ago out of the House committee, and we were able to get this thing, you passed it overwhelmingly with bipartisan support out of the House. And 2 years later, here we are now with $10 million in the Outdoor Stewardship Trust Fund, and with the Speaker and the Lieutenant Governor committed to working to get $20 million in the subsequent years. It had to have been a proud moment for you, Bill, when that thing passed.
It was a struggle, but nothing of any value comes without some struggle. And so we got it done in 2 years, which I was pretty happy with. Now, it's not a complete model of what we want to finish this legislation with. It is a beginning of what we can do. It's an opportunity to show the citizens, taxpayers of Mississippi, what we can do when we can leverage a little bit of their money with some federal money on some specific projects, and really make a difference in the lives and the communities in our state.
Yeah.
As we look at our state parks, and we've got those plans in place, and which, by the way, I'm very impressed with our team and our plans, and what we've managed to accomplish in the last 3 years through really positive planning and good budgeting and some really good participation by my colleagues. But to go back to that, we have a coalition and some colleagues, and certainly the Speaker helped, our chairman helped, and this Outdoor Stewardship Trust Fund is a tremendous tool. Now we're gonna meet next week. We're gonna talk about some parameters and some projects, and we won't get into specific need at the moment of what specific projects, but only to say that want to prove to the taxpayer, the one that actually places the money there, the benefit of this program this year, going into next year, so that we can find a consistent funding mechanism to sustain this.
Yeah.
This is at currently appropriation level, and we've got to find something a little bit more sustainable than a pure appropriation. But I'm certain we can do this. I'm very confident in the coalition and the team of volunteers and colleagues that I have been working with to get this done. So it's the single most proud moment I've had in legislation so far, is to get this piece of rock pulled up that hill.
Well, you know what? You never arrive. You know this better than most. You never arrive at the perfect solution the first time. And I had Ed Penny from Ducks Unlimited and Alex Littlejohn from the Nature Conservancy on a couple of weeks ago. And what I said to them was, when you think about the fact that there were a lot of disputed aspects, so we were able to get non-governmental agencies involved. Private land is now part of the deal. Right. If the real, and again, legislation never is perfect first. I mean, oftentimes you have to come back and do a little cleanup, a little addition. I think the most important thing, you mentioned dedicated funding source. Certainly that's a refinement that needs to be made, but the best way to get that is to come out of the gate with a board of trustees that is second to none, selecting projects with great oversight that have a priority on federal money. And we're able to take that $10 million and turn it into 20 or 30 million and have projects that can be demonstration projects to make a very compelling case for action to go and tweak it. So we don't have to come back every single year and do appropriation. Exactly. That's something we don't want to have to do. So Billy, you watched this so closely. We're engaged as well. The coalition that was put together to support this effort was truly remarkable, wasn't it?
Really is. I'm so proud of everyone that worked on it, legislators, like Bill and others that worked so hard to do it. But all the coalition with all the non-governmental agencies, you mentioned Nature Conservancy, Alex Littlejohn, Ducks Unlimited, others that just saw the need for that. And other states like Georgia, as you know, they're leveraging like 40 million a year to 80 or something like that to 80 million, as you know, and as Bill said, this is a start. There's a lot of good federal, support that we can leverage to really make a real impact. And I'm excited about what this is going to be. As we're able to work it, and folks like Bill are able to figure out which programs can really benefit.
What's going to be interesting as we come to the end of this segment, we'll pick it back up on the other side, is that the Farm Bill is about to get reauthorized, probably going to be some new money in there. And then you've got as a result of most recent legislation, more buckets of federal money that could create incredible matching funds. So if the state could get to 20 or 30 or $40 million annually, think about it for a second, we could then have $100 million, maybe $120, $30 million that could come back to leave a legacy for our kids and our kids' kids. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Bill Kincaid and Billy Mounger. We'll see you after this break.
We live in one of the best places in America to enjoy the outdoors. So let's talk about it. It's Super Talk Outdoors with Ricky Matthews on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Welcome back to Super Talk Outdoors. I wish we had 2 hours today, because Billy Mounger, who is on the Commission for Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks and been an avid volunteer in the outdoors and conservation community for years, and Bill Kincaid, who's the chairman of the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks Committee for the House of Representatives, and super passionate. The Outdoor Stewardship Trust Fund emanated from his committee, and again, it took us a couple of years to get there, but we're moving in the right direction, and we're working now to leave a legacy for our kids and our kids' kids, and to catch up with other states. What other states have done to leverage the federal money have left Mississippi in the dust, and now we get a chance to kind of get the dust out of our eyes and move forward. Bill, you guys have been busy, man. I'm thinking about the upcoming change in the deer season. Pretty exciting adjustment that's going to be made there for the velvet season. Tell me more about that.
Well, this idea came to us about this time last year. Several of my colleagues approached me and said they'd like to see this happen. It's been done in 13 other states. And at first, I'll be honest, I was kind of hot and cold on the idea. But the more I researched it, the more of my colleagues I talked to, I realized that there was an opportunity there to extend this hunt, and there was a need or a want to do this. And so my Senate colleague was critically important, as well my commission chairman, and I listened. And so, and you know, when you put it out there on social media and you post and try to get public opinion, the public will tell you.
Yeah.
So we need to pass this bill, and what it is an opportunity to harvest a velvet antler buck in a very limited period of time, pre-season. So Mississippi passed this last year, and it became law in July.
And Billy Mounger, the commission is something you guys believe in as well. You know, a lot of people have small tracts of land. They might see some early deer, and then come hunting season, they don't see those deer anymore. And I mean, you know, at the end of the day, when you compare the number of deer that will be harvested as a percentage of the total, it's really a small number. But it's an exciting development, though, isn't it?
Yeah, just a couple of things. We started working on this about 5 years ago. Really, I've been to Kentucky, saw they were doing it. I went turkey hunting up there, heard about this velvet antler season, started talking to legislators, Scott Bounds, Bill, Neil Whaley, others. And like Bill and others, they said, why would somebody want to go hunt, you know, when it's 95 degrees, you know? So, we have a lot of passionate bow hunters in this state that do. And it's, what we're trying to do as a commission is create more opportunity for people. It's a great, as you know, it's probably a $2.5 billion industry, the outdoors here in the state. So this creates no opportunity for people to come in. It's I think for out-of-state people, it's a $50 tag, and also too, it's mandatory to do a CWD sample if you harvest a deer. It just creates a great new opportunity for people. So we're really excited about that. And you're right, you know, early season bucks you can sometimes pattern a lot better, so it gives an opportunity for folks to really harvest a really nice buck that they become very elusive, you know, as hunting pressure increases and the summer food sources go away. So it's a great opportunity, I think.
Well, the department's learned a lot. About a third of the deer are going to be kind of resident deer. Another third's going to maybe go a mile, 2, 3, 4 miles away. Some are going to go 18, 20 miles away. It's amazing what they've learned. And especially if you have land that's near farmland, you probably will see a lot more deer and before and during the harvest. But then after the harvest, they settle back into wherever their home range is going to be. And so this will create some land. Go ahead, say it again, Bill.
I'll run into Billy Munger's land.
Yeah, they all go to Billy's place for sure. So as you guys approach the legislative session, what other things are on your mind as far as potential legislation that would help the outdoors community?
Well, I don't look for a very aggressive year this year. Obviously, we've looked at some critical need. Last commission meeting, for instance, I heard from a boat captain, a commercial guide, that he's in favor of increasing some guide fees or imposing a guide fee for commercial fishermen, which I think is well overdue. I think the opportunity is there to do it now with the commission, but we need to look at a statute that actually imposes a meaningful restriction, not a restriction so much, but a parameter for what it would take to do to provide the opportunity to become a charter captain.
Yes.
I think you should have a business license, liability insurance, and pay a substantial fee annually for the right to capitalize on Mississippi fisheries.
Yeah.
We put thousands of taxpayers' dollars and a lot of men and women work in these fisheries, and if somebody's going to come in and make a living from those fisheries, it needs to be substantial what they fee to have that opportunity, in my opinion. So I'm going to look closely at that.
Bill, let's do this. We're coming to the end of our time together. Billy Mounger, Bill Kincaid, it has been a pleasure to visit with you. You guys have unique roles, one from the perspective of the commission, another from the perspective of the legislature. You both love the outdoors like so many others that I have on my show. We'll have you guys back again soon and just continue the conversation. There's so much to talk about, unlimited amount of things to talk about America's capital, the outdoors, Mississippi. But anyway, thank you guys for joining me today.
Ricky, thanks for all you do. Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, fellas.
Appreciate it.
You bet. Have a great day. And as I always end the show, stay safe. Just stay safe when you're in the outdoors. Have a great day. And we'll see you next Monday.
See you guys.
Mississippi.